Good morning. Okay. Okay. Hope all of you are doing well. I hope I'm audible now. Okay. Class 2, day 2 of your CA course, CA Foundation accounting classes. All right. So we started with the first chapter yesterday. We'll continue from there. Just give me a minute. Good morning, guys. Uh, I would request the host to please, make my iPad the co-host as well. Okay, thank you. I hope the screen is visible. Okay. All right. So yesterday we started with unit 1, that is meaning and scope of accounting, and here we discussed about what is accounting. I told you accounting is the language of business. What does accounting do? Accounting records transactions systematically. So we discussed till there, and it is basically reporting. I told you why the whole point of accounting is there. Why do we need financial information? Because you need to know about the company's health. You will need to know two things about the company. One is how the company is performing, that is, how is it doing. For this, we call this as financial performance. How do we know the financial performance? Through the profit and loss statement. Then I also told you that we need to know the financial position of the company or a business. So to know the financial position of the business, we will draw up the balance sheet. The balance sheet is drawn up. So we discussed about this P&L statement and balance sheet, financial performance and financial position. Now we also discussed, can we directly draw up these financial statements? That is, at the end of the year, 31st of March, can I sit and can I, write up the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet directly? No. If the transactions were less, probably that would have been possible. But generally, in a business, there will be many transactions each day. So you cannot, possibly sit on the last day and you cannot make a list of all the incomes and expenses in just one day. So that is why what they started doing was real-time accounting. That means we keep account of whatever is happening with the business on real-day basis. So all the incomes are put in one place, all the expenses are put in one place, assets put in one place, liabilities put in one place, and at the end of the year, just take those lists, take those accounts, and just make a P&L statement and balance sheet. Sounds very simple. So that is all accounting is about. Just keeping a list, day-to-day list every day. You keep a list of all the items, of all the income, expenses, transactions, basically. Just keep account of all of this. And then at the end of the year, why did you do all this? You did all this to find out the financial performance and financial position of the business. So let's just do that at the end of the year. Draw up the P&L statement and the balance sheet of the business. Now we will discuss about the accounting process. This is very important. This is where we kind of brush up what we have studied in 11th first PUC. So yesterday I got a lot of questions in the query session at the end. Sir, my basics aren't strong. This is what I think, right? I have just I've cleared exams, but I don't think my basics are very strong. Do you think my basics are important for something like this, CA Foundation Accounting? Is it required to have my basics strong? The answer is no. Basics, what you studied before. I've had science students also clear, foundation in their first attempt. In fact, there was one a science student very recently. Uh, she joined the classes after first PUC during the vacation. She's a year older than you, I think. So she joined after first PU class. When first PU, she was doing science. She joined CA classes. She continued her science PUC. She was doing a second PUC in science, and in between, she was studying for CA as well. She cleared her CA foundation in first attempt. Okay, so she got excellent marks. That too, not just in some 280 or something like that. It's around distinction marks she got in CA foundation in her first attempt. 2 years of PUC, she was studying science. So what my point is, it doesn't matter how your basics is, but she was a very attentive and determined kid. So she was studying all the time and she was paying attention in the class and all that. So that's all you have to do when we do the class. You have to be interested in what I'm doing. You should show that enthusiasm and then follow it up. If not, if it's possible every day, it's great. But if not every day, at least follow up with what is happening in the class. Now that you have PUC and also we don't have too many classes and also just 2 hours every day, you will have it for this week. So it is not too much, okay? And that to these first chapters and all, you can build that interest, slowly understand, read up about all this, build your interest in accounting or any other subject matter for that matter. You have some really nice and interesting subjects coming your way, like law, you have maths and all that, economics, very nice subjects. So build your interest about these subjects. You're proper commerce students, right? You need to have a really good interest in all these papers because you will end up with a career which involves some of this. So that is why when we're discussing in the class, just pay attention. Your basics, your foundation, or whatever you've studied so far, it is of not so much relevance. Some of the chapters you saw that it was there over there also in first second PU. So most of the chapters we've studied before, but we might not have studied it properly before. Honestly speaking, the chapters that we have studied before as well, we did not study it properly. So even if you think you know something like rectification of errors or you know something like bank reconciliation statement, trust me, you don't know it the way it is required to be known. So this is what I've seen. I'm making a very general comment. Some of you could have studied it in the right way also. I don't know, but so far I've never met a kid who has studied it in the way that is required for CA. So that is why when you come here, you will feel that whatever you studied is of not so much use. That is why it all starts here. It hasn't started yet for any of you, so don't worry. It all starts here. If you are here with me, asking questions, asking doubts, kind of using your brains all the time, so it is possible. So just one commitment from your end that throughout these classes, I will attend the classes regularly and we will work towards whatever homework and all will be given once the real chapters, the bigger chapters start and all that. So you will have to do the homework and all regularly and be regular to class. That's enough. And show that interest. Don't be distracted too much. Now coming back to accounting process. So the process of accounting starts with, these are different steps. In fact, we popularly list 6 steps in accounting. So first step is recording. In fact, before recording, you have something else also. That is, you have identifying a transaction. Okay, so we're discussing the accounting process. First, the step in accounting process is to identify and record transactions. Now, you will not record whatever is happening in the environment, besides you, because we record in accounting only transactions. Now, what do you mean by transactions? Any activity that involves monetary element is known as a transaction. For example, it is raining. Is it a transaction? It is raining. Is it a transaction? No. But can it have impact on your business? Possibly yes. The COVID virus has come into India. Everything is locked down. You can't do your business. Can you record this in your transaction? Can you record this as a transaction in your books? No. But does it have an impact on your business? Probably yes. But you don't record it. What we record are only transactions. Now, what is transaction? I will define transactions later on in this chapter, but just to give you a very small, brief understanding about it, transaction is an activity which involves money in it. That's all. So monetary element, that time it becomes a transaction. So first what we have to do was we have to identify and record all the business transactions. Okay, so this is what we have to do. We have to identify and record all the transactions relating to the business. In the books of the business, you can write on the business transactions. So this is step 1 in accounting process. Then we have, once the transactions are recorded, sir, I have a question. I said basics is not important, but I'll keep asking you some questions from what you studied in first PU and second PU. If you're not able to answer, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I will anyway say it. Where do you record first time accounting records ಇಲ್ಲಿ entry ಮಾಡೋದು? Where do we record it for the first time in the books of accounts? Which is that book? What is that book known as? Very good. That book is known as journal entries. Correct, right? We pass journal entries. So this is journal. Sir, this is what Nitish, very good. This is the popular kind of original book of entry. So that is why journal is also known as what? Original book of entry. Journal, we also call it as original books of entry. Now there is one more original books of entry. Journal is like the classic type, okay, traditional. But then with evolution, there was one more set of books that was introduced, because journal was a little difficult to enter. I'll tell you why the difficulty was there with the journal. The difficulty with the journal was you had to write all the entries in one single book. So every entry, you had to write it in one single book. Now, because of this, more transactions in a business which has a lot of transactions, it was not humanly possible for one person. Only one person could deal with that book because it is one single book. I'm talking about those days when technology wasn't there, when computers weren't there. So one big book and one person had to write the entries. But if there were too many transactions in the business, that is where the challenges would be there. The biggest challenge would be you had to wait for that one single person to write all the entries in the journal. So you can imagine the pressure. So that is why the businessmen, the accountsmen, the accountants started finding out an alternative for this. There was alternative original books of entry after that to just segregate the work, to divide the work. And what are those alternative books known as? Original books, what is it known as? No, not ledgers. Ledgers are second. It comes next. Yes, the alternative books are known as, very good, subsidiary books. Or we call it as day books as well. Okay, or subsidiary journals. So these subsidiary books are also original books of entry. So if in subsidiary books, there are 8 types of subsidiary books. We will deal with this. It's a separate unit, right? So we will discuss it in detail over there. I will tell you how the subsidiary books and how its whole process works. What is the science and what is the art behind the subsidiary books. We'll discuss in detail. Skeleton open ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. I'll open the skeleton and show it to you how it works and all that. But brief introduction to subsidiary books. These are also original books of entry. These are an alternative to journal. So if you are maintaining subsidiary books, you don't have to pass journal entries for all the transactions. So subsidiary books are generally used in the case of a bigger businessman who has too many transactions. So when he scales up, when the business goes to the next level, journal will not be enough. Journal will be too much. So that is why we go to subsidiary books. Now, subsidiary books let you segregate work. You can have 8 people, writing accounts, writing the transactions in the books of accounts. This step is very important for any business because you should not miss any transaction. So recording each transaction is very important. And journal, because it is a single book, it was difficult to write all the transactions. There were chances that the transactions will not be recorded because of the pressure of writing those many transactions in the journal. So that is why an alternative was brought in, subsidiary books. This is where some major transactions, like for example, credit purchases, cash transactions, credit sales, cash transactions and all, credit transactions and all. So we separated this. We separated all the transactions, made separate books for that, made separate registers for that. And we said, instead of recording it in one single book, based on what kind of transaction it is, we will have 8 separate books. So you can record it over there. So that is the whole concept of subsidiary books. And subsidiary books kind of help these bigger businesses with too many transactions. I hope everyone is understanding, everyone is getting the point of subsidiary books. So always remember, when we say subsidiary books, these are also original books of entry. It's not just journal. Journal are also subsidiary books, but this is like classic 200 years back. But later on, subsidiary books were also introduced to ease the work of an accountant. Okay. Once the transactions are recorded, see, we'll talk practically, okay? We will not by heart all this, we will talk practically. Is this enough? I wrote all the entries in one place. Let us say your parents write all the transactions in one place. Is this enough to find out the income and expenditure? Probably in your house it is sufficient because there are only few transactions. But in the case of business, we have listed all the transactions in one place. Can I directly go and find out the financial performance and financial position of the business on this basis? The answer is no. Because again, first yesterday I told you we had an alternative, taking all the bills, ella invoices, bills and tegodu. We sit and calculate what is the total income. We calculate what are the total expenses. And then we calculate the financial performance of the business. That is incomes minus expenses, how much profits we have made. But that was very difficult because there would be so many invoices around us. So that would not be possible. Now we have recorded the entries because that was not possible. I said real-time recording we will record it on real-time basis. So we have recorded the entries. Is this sufficient? Now at the end of the year, you will put a register. Otherly, you have passed some thousands of entries. Again, sitting and calculating the total. It is not as hard as taking the bills and finding out the figure, but it is pretty much the same, right? This is also hard. All the income transactions you have to classify, where is income transaction, where is expense transaction, because you've made a list of all the transactions together. So it is not possible. I mean, it is hard again. Accounting does not serve any purpose if you stop at recording the transactions. Recorded over. You recorded the transaction in the books over, but this is not sufficient. So what you will have to do next is you will have to classify these transactions. So the step number 2 is classifying. Please understand why we are doing all this. And that is how your mindset should be when you discuss rest of the syllabus also. Why? We are doing this because recording the transactions was not sufficient. It was good, okay? It was better than keeping the invoices in the files. You've taken the invoices out of the file and you have recorded the transactions. Fantastic. But that is not enough. Now what we will do is we will classify these transactions into different heads. We will say, what is an income? In income also, there can be different types of income. There could be sales, there could be interest income, there could be commission income, There could be dividends that we receive. So basically what I will have to do is, we will categorize each income, we will classify each income, different heads we will do, and during the year we might have received that income multiple times. Tumba sarti ನಾವು ಆ income ಅನ್ನು receive ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೇವೆ. For example, sales keeps happening on daily basis in the case of a trader. So what he does is, sales, he classifies it as sales, and all the sales transactions will be recorded in that sales. First record ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, and then from there it will be put in the sales list. So like this, for income we have separate heads. For expenses also, similarly, many expenses will be there, right? Much more expenses compared to income. Types of expenses are more. You can have traveling expenses, you can have purchases. Okay, for a trader, purchases is important. What will he sell without purchasing it? So purchases will be there. When he purchases the goods, you have to carry it from your truck to your factory. So carriage in the health, we call this as carriage. Do you know what is it called if it's brought in a vehicle? What is that expense called if it's brought in a vehicle? The goods are coming in a vehicle from place X to place Y. What is that called? What is the expense called that is paid to the carrier of the goods? It's not called carriage. It's known as, very good, some of you are saying it correctly, it's known as freight. Okay, it's known as freight. So when you put it in a vehicle, I'll tell you these terminologies. You have come across these terminologies, but okay. So when you put it in a vehicle or anything with a motor, we call it as freight. If you're putting it in the vehicle with a motor, okay, motor, engine, we call it as freight or transportation charges. If you're carrying it on the back, if humans are carrying it on the back, if the manual labor is carrying it on their backs and getting it, what do we call it as? We call this as carriage. Whatever money we pay them is known as carriage. Coolie. In simple terms, we call it as coolie, but in accounting, we call it as carriage. What if you put it in a cart? You've seen these hand-run carts, right? Or bullock carts. So what do you put it, if you put it in carts and if you get it, if you pay them the amount, what is that called in accounting? That is known as cartage. Okay, so all these terminologies are used with link to the mode of transportation. So if it's put in a vehicle, it's called as freight. Now when you're saying freight, there are different types of freight. So if you're putting it in a truck, tempo, that is road freight. If you're getting it by flight, that is air freight. If you're getting it in railway or train, it is rail freight. Okay, if you're getting it in by a ship or a boat, it is sea freight. So we have different types of freight. And then you have next carrying it physically. When persons carry it and we pay them coolie, what we call in local terms is coolie. So normal terms is coolie. That is carriage because he's carried it. If you get it in carts, we call it as cartage. Okay, so I was telling you, there could be many expenses like these. You might have to get these in cards, or you might have to pay transportation charges. All these are expenses. All these are expenses for the business. Then you might have to advertise your products, advertisement expenses. You might have to pay salaries to the staff. That is why I told you vehicles and cart. What is the difference between vehicles and cart is what Lerina is asking. Freight is used generally for motored vehicles. Okay, that is which is run with a motor engine. Okay, now coming back to this, when we are talking about expenses, so advertisement expenses, salary expenses, traveling expenses. In the office, they could be having tea, tiffin and all that, refreshment expenses. So we will have many expenses like this in the business. It's very common to have expenses like these. So what we do is we categorize, and refreshment expenses and traveling expenses and all that are not one time. These are repetitive in nature. These keep happening over time. It is very repetitive in nature. So these expenses are also listed separately. So every time there is an expense of that sort, you record it, and then that is classified into these separate accounts. Okay, then wages and salary. Sir, what is the difference? Someone is asking me. The difference between wages and salary is wage is something that is paid in your go down. Okay, this is basically some most of the time on daily basis or weekly basis. So you have to settle the accounts on daily or weekly basis. This is generally low income for low income people. That is in the go down. They lift things from one place to another. They pack. Generally in the go down packing. These labor help. Go down on factories. We call it as wages. Salary is for people in the administrative department, in the offices. Salesmen. So salesman commission also sometimes will be there, but sometimes salary for office administrators, receptionists, for people, for accountants, you pay salary for whatever happens in the office. So that is the difference between wages and salaries. Anyway, coming back to this, so we classify the transactions. All the transactions are classified. This is step number 2. Can you tell me where do we classify it? What do we call this as? It is classified into ledgers. Okay, what do we do is we classify it into ledgers. All the transactions are classified into ledgers. Whatever I just told you, incomes, different types of incomes, different types of expenses. For each of those type of expense or type of income, we open a separate account. We open a separate ledger, and in that ledger, the entries are passed throughout the year. So whatever entries are there will go to that ledger. So separate ledgers are passed. Now see how we are making our life easy. First we had bills, and from the bills we started recording it. Once we recorded, we started classifying it. So the number of pages, I'll give time later, Mitali. Number of pages that we had to see was getting lesser and lesser. Okay. Now we were not happy with ledgers. Ledgers probably from 1 lakh bills. Sir, should we write this in our notebook? Is the popular question I'm getting. You should write it, but not now. Okay, I will give you enough time to write later. So wait for some time. Okay, coming back to the discussion that we were doing. Sir, we have first identified and recorded. So if there were 1 lakh bills with this, we converted them into transactions. We recorded it. That was not sufficient. What was the next step we did? We started classifying the transactions through ledgers. We said 1 lakh transactions. Probably we split it into some 200 accounts. 200 ledger accounts we split it into, and we started writing it in 200 accounts only. So 200 accounts, let us assume 200 accounts took around 500 pages. So 500 pages to look at now. Now further, we can even make it better. At the end of the day, what is the purpose of accounting? To find out the financial performance and financial position of the business. That is the whole point, right? That is the whole point of accounting. We have to end there. Now to get there, we have to prepare financial statements. To make our life easy to prepare the financial statements, what we do is we summarize these transactions. Where do we summarize this? What is that summary known as? That summary is known as a trial balance. Okay, it is known as a trial balance. If you're giving wrong answers, don't worry about it. After you listen to this, if you still give wrong answers, then you have to worry a lot about it. But till then, it's fine. Where do we summarize all the transactions? In a trial balance. So now suddenly, everything is put in the trial balance. Probably you can do it in 1 page. If there are 200 accounts, probably 2 or 3 pages. But still, see how much we have reduced. We have come to just 2 or 3 pages of trial balance, a big trial balance. Generally, in our problems, we'll finish it within 1 page. We won't have so many accounts, right? We'll finish it within 50 accounts or 40 accounts. So in 1 single page, we'll finish the trial balance. Are you understanding this? Are you following? So now we've come down to just one piece of paper. And from here, don't you think it's easy to find out the financial performance and position? Is it not easy to find, draw up the financial statements now, to write down the P&L account, balance sheet? It's much simpler. From those lakhs of bills, we've come down to one piece of paper in which the trial balance is drawn. This has happened because of systematic recording of transactions. Now we draw up the financial statements. Next step, so this was summarizing, and after this, the next step is, now directly can I drop the P&L account? Yes, but when you take the trial balance, there will be different types of accounts in the trial balance. It will all be mixed up. So what we will have to do is, we will have to analyze each transaction or each account, each ledger account. We will have to analyze each ledger account and see where it goes. For example, income account is useful to find out the financial performance of the business. Income accounts, we need to know the financial performance of the business. Expense accounts also we need for knowing the financial performance of the business, because this is something that determines the profits of the business. It is helpful to know the profits of the business. On the other hand, to know the financial position, that is, where does the business stand, we need to know all the assets and liabilities of the business. So the next step, this is the first step in drawing up the financial statement. So we've finished till now. What we were doing is, we call this as what is these three steps known as? Any idea? Have you heard of that term? The first three steps is known as bookkeeping. Okay, these three steps are known as what? Bookkeeping. So we are done with bookkeeping. Bookkeeping means merely maintaining these accounting books. A bookkeeper does this. All he does is records all the transactions. This is very mechanical. Okay, everything is ready. You know how to record a transaction. You know how to classify the transaction. You know how to prepare a summary. This anyone can do. If you are trained to do it in 2 or 3 days, if you train him properly, he can do it for the rest of his life. There is no science in this as such. I mean, it doesn't change. You don't have to do anything great here. Bookkeeping anyone can do who is trained. So a person who knows about accounting, who knows how an entry is to be recorded, how it is to be classified, anyone can do bookkeeping. So it's easy. Then comes the difficult part. This is where you have to apply your mind, where you will start doing the financial statements. So the next steps is basically drawing up the financial statements. And here, the first step is to analyze the different accounts. Analyzing. So you will analyze what is an income, expense, liability, asset, and you will take it to those respective statements. If it's an income, it should go to the P&L account. If it's an expense, it should go to the P&L account. If it's an asset or liability, it should go to the balance sheet. So basically, you have to analyze each account. Sir, sales. What is sales? What is sales account? Income, asset, expense. What is it? Sales. It is an income account, right? Traveling expenses. What is travel? Okay, I said I said it. Traveling expense is a expense account. Purchases. Expense. So building. Asset. It's an asset for you, right? It's not an expense. It is an asset for you. Motor vehicle. Asset. Yes. Like we tick mark in trial balance, it seems. Yes, normally you write it in the trial balance when they give it to you, right? When trial balance country, you write it over there, P&L account or trading account. So that is what analyzing is basically. You analyze where it should be going. So this is the first step in financial statements, drawing up the financial statements. Next one, once the analyzing part is done, what we do is we put it right. We put it in the P&L account and all that. P&L account, we draw it, we write it over there. We write it in the income, in the balance sheet. We write in a balance sheet, and then we interpret. What is interpreted? The financial performance and financial position of the business is interpreted at this stage. So basically, we know how much is the profits during the period, have we done well or not, how much, what is the financial position of the business. We interpret this, we read this through. And then finally, is it sufficient that we read it? No, we have to communicate what we read. So the next part is communication. So the next part is communicating what we to the users of the financial statements. Okay, what I want you to do right now is, I just want you to take all this down quickly. I'll give you 3 minutes time to take it down. Okay, so these 3 steps are with drawing up the financial statements. Okay, I'm giving you very practical terminologies and practical understanding of how this works. Interpreting is basically interpreting the financial performance and the position of the business, and communicating is basically saying it, communication to the users of the financial information. We will discuss who are the users and all next. So drawing up the financial statements, FS means financial statements. So which is the preparation, which are the stages, Vidaj is asking, which are the stages that is involved in preparation of financial statements? Can you tell me from which stage to which stage? From analyzing the ledger accounts up till communicating, these are all part of financial reporting or financial statements. Drawing up the financial statements, preparation of financial statements, we call it as financial reporting as well. Okay. Are we done? So these are all drawing up the balance sheet, and you can take these stages as balance sheet and P&L account. Collectively, we call this as financial statements. So I like the term financial statements, but if you want, you can write over there balance sheet, and we will we'll talk about what is financial statements also next. Next is that only. We'll discuss that. We'll have a discussion about what are financial statements next. Okay, so what is so we have finished the accounting process. So we started with recording. Just a quick brush up of what we did over there. So recording, classifying, summarizing, analyzing, interpreting, and finally communicating. So these are the different steps in accounting, or these are the components of accounting process. Next, financial statements. So already we have had enough discussion about this. So what is financial statements? What are the components of financial statements is what we're going to discuss over here. So what are the components of financial statements? Financial statements will tell about what are parts of these financial statements. First, we need to know the financial position of the business. So the first part is balance sheet. This is to find out the financial position of the business. And the next part, after knowing the financial position, what do we need? What is the next part? What is the next component of financial statement? It will be a statement of profit and loss, or profit and loss account, as we call it traditionally. So P&L account. What does this represent? This represents the financial performance of the business. Income statement. Correct, Anirudh. It is also known as income statement. So it represents the financial performance of the business, or financial performance of the business. Comfortable? Now there is one more component which is not traditionally there, which was not traditionally there. It is not something that has been there, or it serves the basic purposes of accounting, the main purposes of accounting. No, it serves legal requirements. That is, what people started doing was, people started fudging these accounts, people started manipulating something here and there, people started hiding things, not saying things clearly. So that is when the lawmakers came into the picture and they said, boss, you cannot do this. We will need more information from you. So they started making rules, regulations, what we call as acts, right? Statutes. You have a Companies Act, you have an Income Tax Act for collection of income taxes from these businesses. You have an LLP Act, which is applicable for an LLP. So all these acts came into the picture. It's basically the rules and regulations made by the government, systematically placed. Like how you have COVID rules now, right? They issue COVID rules every week, every day, I think. The district administration issues some rules, the state government issues some rules, the central government issues some rules. So similarly, here also for these companies and all, they have to issue some rules. And those rules are issued through the acts, statutes, proper systematic way, and it is applicable for right from the beginning till the end of that business. Those acts are applicable, those rules are applicable. So it is basically those rules are converted into acts. We call it as acts, but at the end of the day, it is just rules and regulations that govern the business. We study all these laws, right? We call it as laws. We call it very technically, but it's actually simple rules and regulations, that do's and don'ts for a company or for any business. So these do's and don'ts also came with certain rules where they said you have to make mention of these items in the financial statements. So when you drop the financial statements, just balance sheet and P&L account is not enough. Just telling the financial position and financial performance is not enough. You have to do something extra. Okay, if it's a traditional organization, this won't be applicable. If it's a sole proprietor business, for that, no rules, no act is applicable in the case of sole proprietor business. So if you're a sole proprietor, balance sheet and P&L account is sufficient. Okay, but if you're a company or if you're an LLP, that is not enough. The Companies Act comes with certain additional disclosure requirements. Okay, so these additional disclosures is also part of financial statements. So if you take up a financial statement of any big company, you will see so many disclosures. Give me a second. I'll just show you one balance sheet and this part. The disclosures part, what we're discussing, right? I'll just show it to you, whatever I have. Okay. So just give me a minute, please. So this is the financial statement. You can see it on your screens now. It's a financial statement of a company called Hindustan Foods Limited. In fact, they call it as an annual report. There are many other things apart from the financial statements also. The financial statements will always be there. In addition to that, they will have some other information about the company and all that. So you can see this table of contents of this annual report. So it's a very big document. I think it is like a proper book, right? It's like a proper book. Some 100 pages will be the 125 pages document. Every year, these companies release this. Every year, these listed companies, which are listed in the stock exchange, release this. So in this, they will talk about corporate overview. That means about the company. They will talk management discussion. They will whatever the management discussion analysis, the board of directors, what do they have to say about the business? All that is discussed over here. Then you have statutory section. That means legally they have to mention certain things that is mentioned over there. Not just the Companies Act, other acts also may be applicable. This is a Hindustan Foods Limited. I'm sure you've not heard about this, but have you heard about you had that Kurkure puff corn? Have you heard? Have you eaten that Kurkure puff corn? Puff corn. Green color packets that is produced by this company. Okay, what this company does is they take outsourcing from other big companies, MNCs and all. So they produce for those companies, sell it in their brand name, but production is done by this company. It's pretty big. Hindustan Foods Limited is one of the biggest production companies, manufacturing companies in India right now. Not just food items, they manufacture even leather items. You've heard about these shoes, many shoes. I forgot the brand names, but they have leather factories in Goa and all that. So I'll show you what they do. Okay. They have, in Mumbai, Goa, Jammu, Pondicherry, Mumbai, Coimbatore, Mysore, Hyderabad. So you can see what and all they do in these factories. In Mumbai, it's headquarters. In Goa, they have extruded cereals and snacks, baby food. For some companies, they prepare baby food also, and also snacks. Not just baby food, other cereals also they do it over there. And snacks, like I told you, kurkure, some sort of chocolates and all they produce there. Jammu and Kashmir pest control. I'll tell you the brands also which they produce. Puducherry, Pondicherry, they don't own the brands. They don't have the ownership over the brands. They are only taking outsourcing contract. So you give me whatever ingredients and all I have to put. I will run the factory. I will buy the machines. I will run the labor. Everything I will do. I will finish the product and give it to you. You sell it. All that is your headache. Production is my headache. So producing that goods is my headache. So I will take care of all that. So in Mumbai, they have leather shoes, sandals. In Coimbatore, hot beverages. That is your coffee powder and all that. Mysore carbonated soft drink. So it's a pretty big company, right? It's a pretty big company in production of so many items, detergent powders and liquids and all that. So in Goa, you have these. See, they mentioned what are the different things they do it in Goa. For Kurkure, Puffcorn, PepsiCo, and Marico, they produce goods over here. In Jammu, pest control. So Mortin, you have heard about Mortin. This is from Reckitt. That is the company that owns Dettol, right? The same company has this Mortin mosquito killers. It's made in this company in Jammu and Kashmir by this particular company. So you have in Pondicherry, they have shoes, leather shoes and accessories. Steve Madden, US Polo. I'm sure some of you have heard about these brands. Even in Mumbai, they have something similar for customers like Flipkart, Mantra, and all that. They sell it over here. Dune, Fifth Avenue, Espirit. All these shoes are made by this company for Indian market. Hot beverages, you can see. I'm just telling you what and all they do. Packaging of tea, coffee, and soaps. So they have all these brands, all Hindustan Unilever Limited's, HUL's branding they put and they sell from there. Hyderabad Fabric Care, basically you have all the surf, Rin, Wheel. It's all made in one factory, by the way. Rin, Wheel, Surf, everything is made by them for HUL. So in this particular factory run by Hindustan Foods Limited. So in Mysore also they have beverages and all that. That is, you have PepsiCo's drinks and Ocean beverages. So all these things they do in this factory. So coming back to this about the table of contents of this factory. So what about this annual report, table of contents. So here we said, they spoke about all this products and all in the first corporate overview. They told you about all this. And then they went to management discussion. What does the board of directors think about the company and its future? Then they started saying about statutory section. This was required as per the law. Then finally, what is relevant for us, that is financial statements. So in financial statements, you can see, of course, from 78 page to 127 page, they're talking about financial statements. It cannot be just balance sheet and P&L account, because to do balance sheet and P&L account is not going to take so many pages, not 49 pages. This will come up to 49 pages. It won't take 49 pages to draw the balance sheet and the P&L account. So in addition to that, they also have to give certain disclosures in these pages. So you can see this. Yes. So the balance sheet, the statement of profit and loss, this was the balance sheet of the company, pretty big company actually. So you can see there are different assets, non-current assets, PP, plant, property, equipment, and all that. All this is in lakhs. Okay, all this is in lakhs, 7,249 lakhs, and all that. Huge numbers, big numbers. So this is the P&L account, statement of profit and loss. So again, you can see there's the income is also pretty 1,391 lakhs and all that. So quite a big company. What we're looking at, what we're staring at. In fact, this year they have done even better because of COVID. The consumption has gone up, right? So Hindustan Foods Limited will post a even bigger, even healthier balance sheet this time, and P&L account this time. The financial statements will be healthier this year because the COVID hasn't affected them so much. Although spending has become lesser, but spending on these items hasn't stopped, right? Probably their leather segment and all might have taken a hit, but their most revenue comes from the other things. So not just that, that is not where we stop. Statement of profit and loss done. Then they're giving something called a statement of cash flow. This is part of a 12th standard syllabus, cash flow statement, right? We'll just study this even at the next level, intermediate. So cash flow statement. This is of a company called Hindustan Foods Limited. Okay, it was removed. So you will study this in intermediate level. So statement of cash flows is also prepared by this company. And then not just that, they also do something called as statements of changes in equity. So this is also again legally required, legal disclosures required for the company. Then notes forming part of the account. So all the notes, they write details about each and every item. Intangible assets means what amortization, depreciation methods they are using, what are tangible assets, how taxes have impacted the business, what is tax expense for them, current income tax, everything. They discuss all of this in detail. You can see all this is about more detailing about the company's financial statements. And then you have notes forming accounts. So basically, when they said plant, property, equipment, what in all comes over there, what are the different values, so separate tables for that. So you can see the level of disclosures. Now all this is made compulsory by the Companies Act. The Companies Act says you have to do this. Just drawing up the P&L and balance sheet is not sufficient. You have to do all this additional disclosures also. So that is the third part. This is something that the law is basically forcing you to do or making it compulsory to do. So this is the third part, which is disclosures. Okay, so this is as per the legal requirements. This is required to be done as per the law, as per the Companies Act, as per the Income Tax Act. Sometimes also you might have to do some disclosures. So this is separate. But the financial statement, what you just saw, was as per the as per the Companies Act. Accounting standards are also laws. So accounting standards or Ind AS, now what we call as Ind AS also is applicable. So they have to do disclosures in their financial statements about all these items as well. So for example, cash flow statement is to be drawn as per accounting standard 3, AS3, which is an accounting standard, makes it compulsory for every company to draw up a cash flow statement. Like this, you have to give additional disclosures. Intangible assets also say some additional disclosures. So we'll study all this. We'll study all this in detail throughout the course. Not here in CA foundation level, all that is not covered in so much detail. But at the next level and all, you will be studying about all this in more detail. So you will know how to read it. Just now, what I showed, most of it will run over your head sometimes. It will fly over your head. But when you finish the course, you will be able to understand, okay, how things work. So this is the components of financial statements. What you can do is you can just take this chart down as it is. You can just take it down in your books. Okay, are we done? So do you invest in stock markets? Almost every CA does. Because we get to read all this in detail throughout our syllabus. We learn about stock markets, fundamentally. So basically, we study theories about how things work. So everyone is interested. Almost every chartered accountant who qualifies, who becomes a CA, is interested somehow in stock markets. They understand how stock markets work, mutual funds work, because it is all part of our syllabus. Throughout the course, we study about all those things also. So that is why almost each one of us is interested in that. This is our area. This is our domain. How can you not be interested in something like stock markets or businesses in general? Because we deal with businesses. We are in commerce. How doctors are interested in something like vaccines. How doctors or how scientists are interested in something like research. We are interested in businesses. We're commerce. We're from the commerce background, and we sit on the. I mean, I'm not boasting, but CAs sit on the top list in the commerce industry, right? We are theoretically we study the most when it comes to commerce and businesses and all that. So we sit on the top of the pyramid. So of course we will want to know what is happening around. We will know the businesses and something like stock markets. Why would you want to miss an opportunity to make money when you know how it works? Don't ask me for stock market tips now, please. Okay. Yeah, are we done writing? Can we go to the next slide? Can I go to the next slide? Yes. Objectives of accounting. What is the objective of accounting? Why do we have accounting? Something that we have discussed already. We will start writing. Okay, put the heading objectives of accounting. We know all these points. So first one, systematic recording of transactions. So we needed accounting because I told you we can't take all the bills and sit and find out the financial performance and financial position of the business. So for the communication of that financial performance and position of the business, we needed accounting. So systematic recording of transactions happen through accounting. So this is the main objective, first objective of accounting. Second one, why do we do this? Because we wanted to know financial position and financial performance of the business. So this is ascertainment of financial position of the business to know where does the business stand, what are the assets and liabilities of that business. And the second one, to know the financial performance. How much is the income? What is the expense? How much profit they have made in a particular year? To know all this. So this is ascertainment of financial performance of the business. Then you have communication of financial information to the user. So finally, the whole point of accounting is to communicate the financial position and performance, what we call as financial information, to the users of the accounting information, whoever is interested, right, to know about what is happening in the business, to communicate that information to them. So these are the objectives of accounting. We have four objectives: the recording all the transactions systematically, not just recording it somewhere randomly, writing it on a piece of paper, writing on it on the bed sheet. No, we have to record it systematically. So systematic recording of transactions, ascertainment of financial position, to know where does the business stand, ascertainment of financial performance, know how the business is doing, and to communicate this to the users in a very systematic way. You saw that, right? Hindustan Foods Limited, how they systematically, how beautifully they communicate to the users everything about the company and all that. So that's an annual report basically. But accounting information, I mean, accounting also says you have to do it through numbers. They do it through words also over there, but through numbers mainly you have to do. You have to tell people about your profits. You have to tell people, especially the investors, the owners in the business, they need to know about all these things about your company, or the lawmakers, the government will have to know all of these things about your company. So please give details about the company. That is what the accounting does. I hope you were writing. I hope you're still writing. Please tell me once, and if you're done, just let me know. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So I hope you're done. So as soon as I get like 10, 12 done, I go on. Okay. I move on to the next slide. So don't mind. Next one, users of financial information. Let's see who are the users of financial information. Uh, can you think of some of the users? Okay, so many people you listed. So, okay, first we'll start with shareholders, government, and all that. Yeah, let's start with first. The whole main intention is to tell the owners of the business, especially if the owners are not involved. If the owners are not involved in management of the business, which is possible in the case of these companies. So, in the case of listed companies now, I told you Hindustan Foods Limited, or there could be something like ITC, or there could be something like McDowell's, that is a liquor company. You might have something like Reliance. You might have something like TCS. You can buy a share. You can buy a share of that company anytime from the stock markets. 9:15 the stock markets will open. It's already open for the day. So you can buy any share of those stock companies. If you have the money, you can go and buy it. You can become the owner. So basically, when you buy a share, you are buying a share in the company. So you become a part owner in the company. Now, as soon as you buy the share, it makes you the owner of the company. But can you go and manage the company? Can you, let's say you buy a share in Reliance. So a share in Reliance is, I don't know how much is it today, but somewhere around 2000 rupees, I guess. So you buy a share in Reliance. Now, does that make you the owner? I mean, it makes you the owner of the company. But does it mean that you can straight away go to, take a flight, go to Mumbai, go stand out of Antilla and tell, Mukesh Bhai Ambani that, boss, let's see how the business is doing. Let's go to office together today. Can you do this? No, it's not possible. Right? Just because you're the owner, just because you're the shareholder, you don't become the management of the company. So the management and the ownership is generally different in the case of these companies. Am I audible? Am I audible? I'm sorry for the technical glitch. Yes. So I was saying, so if you want to know what is happening with that company, with Reliance or with some big company, TCS or something, so you cannot go and cannot go to the headquarters and say, hey, I'm the owner of the company, I own one share, show me the accounts, I want to see what is happening with the business. That's not allowed. So all you have to understand the business is the accounting information. So the first user, the main users of the financial statements could be owners. When I say owners, shareholders, or what we call as investors in the company, so they are the users of the financial statements. Now, for example, you have companies like Flipkart, you have these big companies like internationally you have something like Instagram, or you have something like Facebook and all that. So these companies would have been invested in by venture capitalists. There's something called as VC. So venture capitalists are people, angel funding we say, where they put money into these startups. So now if you want to know what is happening with your money, the only way to know is by reading the financial information, by the understanding the statements that the company gives. So these are owners of the company. When we say owners, it doesn't mean 100% owners. Even one share out of 1 lakh shares in the company, if you own even one share, you become the owner in the company. So the only way for you to know about the company is through the financial information. So these are pretty important owners of the company. Pretty important users of the financial information. Who else? Who else might be interested? The management. Okay. The management. I'll talk about that. And next one is the management, because the management, when we say management, I'm not following that sequence. Okay. Management, when we say management, we're talking about the board of directors or people who take decisions. So looking at this particular financial information, you can take better decisions. You can decide better. Last year, our expenses were this much. We need to cut down on these particular expenses. There was too much traveling expenses. So the management can take better decisions by looking at these financial information. So they also use it to take better decisions, to be well informed about the company. So management also can use our financial information. So these are two important users. Then the next one is employees. Sir, why would employees look at the financial information? Because they're paid, right? Salaries and all that are paid. So they will also have to know how much is the company making and how much money they are giving. If the company is making too much money during a particular period, the employees might be demanding for bonuses and all that. So they might have bonuses and all that. And sometimes these top management employees, right, at the top of the pyramid, the important employees of the company, so their revenue or their income will be linked to the performance of the company. That means profit at the percentage ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ, or sales at the percentage ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. So there will be link to the performance of the company. So these top level employees also will be very interested to know how much is the actual income or how much is the actual profit of the business. So for that, they will look at the financial information. Next one, lenders and banks. Why would lenders and banks, fourth one, okay, lenders and banks. Why would lenders and banks look at the financial information? What do we mean by this? Why would banks be interested? What does the bank to do with our financial statements? How do you have to note that? Very, very good, Anne. For checking the credit worthiness of a particular customer. So they will look at the financial information to know the credit worthiness. That is, are you worth to be given a loan? For example, let us say you run a business and you go and ask for 2 crore rupees loan. So what the bank manager will say is, boss, please submit the financial statements. Please submit the financial statements to us, and we will see if you're worth giving 2 crore rupees. Now, if you don't have sales, if you don't have enough assets with you, so we might not be able to give you 2 crore rupees, because it depends on, do you have that business, that level of business, that capacity of business to repay our 2 crore? giving you 2 crore is not a big deal, but we have to get it back, right? We have to get it back with interest. So do you have that capacity to repay it? We will have to know. To judge you, give us your historical information, that is to know your credit worthiness. Give us your financial statements. Let's see your financial performance for the last few years. Generally, they take 3 years of financial statements. Let's see, 3 years or 2 years or last year, whatever. Give us the financial statement. I will look at your financial statements. I'll look at your balance sheet. I will see what assets you have. I will see what incomes you're making, how much you're making. So I'll see if you're worth the credit. If you deserve this or not, we will first judge. So for that, they take the financial statements, and not just at the point of giving the loan, but even after that, the banker will say every year give us the financial statements. Compulsory, you have to give, because we want to see, if your business is running well. Even after giving you the loan, you should ensure that the business is run well. So we will have to keep a tab on you. We will have to keep a check on you, that are you doing well or not. So that is why please keep giving the bank the financial statements of the company. Every year you have to submit it. So that is why the lenders or the banks are interested in financial information of the company. Customers. What is customers? Did you brush your teeth today? Did you brush your teeth today? Don't lie. Don't lie. Okay. So I hope most of you have brushed your teeth. Now, when you brush your teeth, can you tell me if there was salt in your toothpaste? Just kidding. I'm no Lara Datta to ask you that. But which brand toothpaste did you use? Colgate, Pepsodent, or Patanjali or whatever. So some brand of toothpaste. My question is, are you a customer of that company? You are a customer of that company. Did you look at the balance sheet and the P&L of that company before buying that toothpaste? Hey, what? Yeah. But this particular point says that you must be looking at the balance sheet and P&L of that financial information you must have seen. What customer are you? Customers see the financial information. What customer are you? I'm sure you had your tea today. So the tea powder you bought from some company, Red Label. So did you see the balance sheet and P&L of that company before buying Red Label? You did not. Then why is this point here? Who are those customers, crazy customers, who are looking at the financial information? Crazy customers, right? These are mad customers. Before buying toothpaste, they might be looking at the financial information. Who are these guys? Do you know anyone? We'll go together and meet that person. Do you know anyone? Okay, what is relevant then? What kind of customers have relevance with your financial statements? People who buy in bulk. Okay. You have come across this point, but you never thought about this. Most of you did not think about this, right? You've come across this point, but who are those customers who are actually interested in financial statements of the company? If you're a customer of a bank, are you going to look at the bank's financial statements before becoming the customer? No. Before you open your SBI account, did you look at the bank's balance sheet? Investors are owners. You can't call investors customers. We are not customers. Investors are not customers. Investors are owners of the business. Who are these customers who are looking at the financial information? Let's talk about this, shall we? So, have you heard of this flyover in Mangalore? You know which flyover I'm talking about, right? Or in Kundapura, here there is one flyover as well. Yes. So, you had this Pumpville flyover. There were so many memes and so many jokes around it, right? The Pumpville flyover. It took around 10 to 11 years for the government to finish, or to the company that was given the contract. They took some 10 to 11 years to finish the flyover. Or in Kundapur, you have a flyover which has been going on for last 12 years a year. So it is not yet complete. What went wrong? What was the problem with this particular uh, these particular flyovers? What was exactly wrong with these flyovers? The problem was, I'll tell you, the companies to whom the contracts were given did not have the financial capacity to take up a project something like that. Okay, because these projects, when we talk about a flyover and all, this involves a lot of money, right? There is a lot of money involved in construction of a flyover, something like Pumpel flyover, which was like 600, 700 meters, at least 100, 200 crores. I don't know the amount, but it is in crores. You need so much money. So you need to have that financial capacity. Randomly, I can't go and say, I will build a flyover. You need to have the backing. You need to have those assets with you. You need to have those, different assets, machineries to build that road. Those rollers. You need to have different assets you will need to build that financial. Financial backing to build something like that. So what the government should ideally do is, these construction companies I was talking about, these are the sellers, right? The construction company are basically the suppliers of these construction services. So they should they provide these services to the government. Government is the customer. Is it right? Government is the customer, because the government takes services, construction services from this company, and they pay money. So the construction companies give service and money is paid by the government to the construction company. They paid some 60, 70, 80 crore or some amount of money they paid, and they got the road constructed. It's actually government's duty, but government at the company, so they outsource it. They give they basically go to some other company and make them construct it. They call tenders and all that. So what the government should do, and they do it also, but they just don't do it properly. They should study the financial information about the company. You have to study the financial information of these construction companies, see if they have the financial capacity to complete that project on time. Do they have so much money? Do they have so much funds? Do they have so much labor? So you need to understand about the company well before you give them the project. So that is when the government, the customer, is looking at the construction companies financial statements. Or let us say Reliance, or you have heard about D-Mart, right? There is one supermarket called D-Mart. Now D-Mart came to Mangalore, or it goes to any city. They will have some distributors. Distributors means the people who sell to D-Mart. D-Mart sells these products in their supermarket. So the distributors, you could have different types of products, stationary products. You could have consumption based FMCG products and all that. This is all distributed or sold to D-Mart by different distributors. So D-Mart buys a lot of products from these distributors, because D-Mart is a big supermarket. So they sell a lot of products. Like this, you have Big Bazaar, you have the Spar, you have different bazaars, these supermarkets, right? So these markets keep buying from these distributors all the time. Now when they do this, what happens is, the D-Mart keeps buying from the distributors, and they want it constantly. They want continuously, they will want supplies to be made by these distributors every now and then. As soon as the stock is over, they will want the distributor to give it to us. So it must be on time, otherwise our customers will be angry. The customers of D-Mart, the customers of Big Bazaar will be angry. They will say, hey, D-Mart every time I go, the stock is not there for particular item that I'm looking for. It's always stocked out. So they will be angry with the a company. They will be angry with our brand, with our supermarket. So what happens is, what we what DMart and all does is, for major products, they will tell their distributor, we want to see if you're serious businessman or not. We want to see if you are into this business seriously or not, if you are into this distribution business seriously or not. So please give us your financial statements. Submit your financial statements every time, every year. Whenever you draw the financial statements, give it to us. We will see different things in your financial statements, what profits you made. This is a condition. If you want a contract from us, we will become your customer. You will have to supply to us. We will become your customer. We will sell it to the end user later. But we will want to see how serious you are about your business. So that is why you will have to submit your financial statements to us. So although DMart is a customer, they are interested. Now you can't say no, you're just a customer, I will not give you the financial statement. They'll say no need. I'll go to someone else. I'll go to someone else who will give me the financial statements and who I can trust. So I will go to him and I will take it from him. So this is a possibility. Again, DMart can ask the distributors to submit the financial statements. Are you all following? Are you all understanding this? When a customer will ask for financial information, are you all understanding? Are you all following this? Yes. So this is when this is where the customers ask for financial information. Then finally you will have the government. The government, because taxes. So the most important thing the government is running on today is taxes. They're giving these COVID vaccines for free. Where do you think the money is coming from? Do you think this money is being put by the politicians from their pockets? No, it's all coming from taxes. Government runs on two sources of inflow, cash inflow. One is the internal source, that is from taxes, and the second one is there is other income also, not just taxes, internal source, and there are other income also will be there, penalties and all that will be there. Then another big source is loans and all that. They take outside loans from these IMF, from other countries. They take loans and all based on that. But around 75 to 80% of your project's development, whatever happens, 75 to 80% of the government expense is funded through taxes every year. So taxes play a very important role for the government to survive, for the government to do what they are doing. So development, everything. You see this COVID vaccine, that's basically taxpayers' money. You are also a taxpayer. You also pay taxes. You pay indirect taxes. But the GST, you all pay GST, right? So we all pay 100%, 1.5 billion people who are born in India pay taxes. We don't pay the direct tax, we pay the indirect tax, 100%. Only 3 to 4% of the total population in India pays direct taxes. So these businesses pay direct taxes and all. So the government is interested. Whenever you drop the financial information and if it is relevant for them, they will say, submit one copy to us. So in the case of companies, they're required to compulsorily submit their financial statement each year to the government. Income tax department, again, government department it is, asks for you to submit your financial statements each year with them, because they want to know how your company is performing. Are you paying the right amount of taxes? Are you paying the proper? Are you calculating all the incomes, expenses, and all properly? So they want to know it. So that is why they ask you to submit your financial information to the government. So are you all understanding this? Did you understand the uses of financial information? You just take this down, sub point, you take it down. I'll give you detailed notes. I'll give you one copy of the detailed notes later. Now you just take the sub points down. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Yes. So this is about the uses of financial information. Now let's see the next part, subfields of accounting. So subfields of accounting means the accounting over time has evolved to serve many purposes of many people. So the traditional form of accounting is the financial accounting. That is what we do. That is what I and you do. That is what you're going to do in the future also once you become chartered accountants. The financial accounting. Okay, traditional accounting, the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement, all this is drawn up as a result of financial accounting. Then we have something called as cost accounting. Have you heard of cost accounting? There's a separate course known as cost accounting course. We call it as CMA or CWA, cost and management accountants. So this is a course, or this is a subject. What we do is over there, focus on the cost of these different products, right? Manufacturing, in the case of a manufacturer, when you manufacture any product, for example, we go to a, I think I have mentioned this, or you know this, that I am also a practicing CA, so I'm a partner at a particular firm. So we go for audits, we go for checks for different organizations. So like this, recently we'd been to one before the lockdown and all came in. We had gone for some work in a factory which is basically production of beer. Okay, beer. So it is known as a brewery, a place where the beer is made is called as a brewery. So the brewery audit, we had some sort of work we had over there. So there, when we what I saw was to make a bottle of beer, right? To make a pint of beer, you will need somewhere around 80 to 90 ingredients. Okay, not one or two. It's 80 to 90, sometimes more type of ingredients depending on what kind of beer it is, what is the composition of that beer. It takes around 18 to 20 days to process the beer. So it is not like you just produce it and the beer is ready, just crush some things and you get the beer out. It's not like that. It goes through various processes. So and then finally you get the beer. Now a company who is involved in beer production, a brewery, will be interested to know, to make a bottle of beer, how much, what are the different ingredients that have gone into it, what is the quantity of the ingredients that have gone into that beer production, what is the cost of that ingredient that has been entered. For example, they put barley, they put yeast, they put something called caramel. You have heard about caramel, right? Caramel. So all this goes into beer production. There are many other sugar, lot of sugar, lots of sugar goes into a beer bottle. So all these contents go into the and there are different types of sugar, in fact. So black sugar, pink sugar, all these kinds of sugar get into the beer bottle. Many other things, not just this. Then finally packaging, stickering. So for a beer bottle to be ready, there's so many kinds of items, so many kinds of expenses that they incur. Now the company will be interested, because see, to increase profits, there are two methods to increase profits. One is sell more, sell more, create a brand, sell more. Second one, with the scale you have, that is with the sales you have, you can still increase your profits without actually selling more, by reducing your cost, by focusing on the cost, by reducing your cost. In cost accounting, what we do is we basically try and reduce the cost. We look at each cost item, we see how much per bottle, what is the cost, how much sugar is going over there, what is the cost per kilo for sugar, or how much is per bottle cost of sugar. We analyze each of these information and we get the cost information. Again, the management can take better decisions with regards to these information. So when you're talking about 80 ingredients, you can imagine how much work should go behind to look at the cost of each item in each bottle, and how it's going through the production line, like over the years, how it has evolved. So as in when your production increases, the cost should come down, because your suppliers, you're giving more business to them, they have to give more discounts. If they don't give you discounts, you can go to another supplier. You can check out the prices in the markets. So when you do all this, to do all this, you must need the cost information. You need to have a detailed cost information with you, and only then you can analyze all this properly. So what we do in cost accounting is just this. This is an expert field in manufacturing industry mainly, where the production involves a lot of ingredients and lots of types of things go into this. So they sit and analyze each and every ingredient that goes into the production and how much is the cost of it. And management is given information about all this. Management की information पढ़ते हुए, the management looks at all these information and they can take decisions better to reduce cost. And when you reduce cost, the profits will also go up. So that is cost accounting. For cost accounting, the basis is our data only. Accounting data itself is relevant for them, these bills and all. It's just like accounting, but here the focus is different. Financial accounting, the focus is basically to tell you the financial position and financial performance of the business. That is what financial accounting does. Gives you details about financial performance and financial position of the business. But when it comes to cost accounting, the purpose is not that. The cost accounting serves the purpose of cost reduction, cost optimization, and just cost cutting. So basically for cost cutting and cost optimization means to ensure that the cost is minimum. So for that purpose, cost accounting works. This is a very interesting field. Again, we study about cost accounting even in our syllabus, second level intermediate. You study about cost accounting, the different types, how do you draw the cost sheet. There is something called as cost sheet. So you learn about all this in your second level, and even in the final level you have a paper on cost accounting. Very beautiful subject, very nice subject, very interesting also. So this is about manufacturing concerns, how does it work. So this is what a CA does. Now you're getting an idea, right? Initially we have no idea what a CA does, but here now when we talk about all these things, you kind of get an idea what exactly we do. So what exactly we study and what exactly you will be doing tomorrow. Your job is going to be very interesting once you become a CA, because you have so many fields to work on. You're not limited to just taxes or just accounting. You can work on so many things. You meet so many people, so many businesses, so many good things, especially when you go for articleship itself. You don't have to wait to become a CA. When I did my articleship itself, we would go get this kind of an exposure. I've been to universities, I've been to manufacturing concerns, I've been to event management companies, I've been to insurance companies, I've been to banking industry, all these temples, housing cooperative societies, construction companies, all this kind of exposure I got throughout my articleship, and seeing these businesses, how does it work and all that, and it just gives you better understanding, better idea about how a business works, how the commerce industry works. So it's not just bookish. Here we study about the businesses also, practically. We see real businesses. We see something real in front of our eyes happening. We see these processes happening in front of our eyes. We see the different things that happen in the industry. So this exposure is available only for a CA student. Okay, so that is what makes this course very interesting. And not just one sector. You're not just going to the bank every day. You're not just going to do costing every day. You're going to do so many things as a chartered accountant student through this practical learning. So that's why this course is like beautiful, and that's why you enter the elite class in commerce sector as soon as you finish the course. So it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. That's why the passing also is difficult and all that. You have to be like very strong-minded and very practical and interested in what you're doing. Just listening for the sake of it, for your parents' sake, or for some neighbor's sake, or to prove someone wrong, or to prove someone right, all these intentions will not work here. You will have to just focus, and you really have to feel for the course. You have to have that drive, natural. You need to feel that, oh, okay, I want to be a CA. This is interesting. This is something that I want to be doing after in a few years. I want to have a career in something like this. So you need to have that drive, and you need to work hard to ensure that drive is actually converted, that dream is converted into reality. So basically I was talking about cost accounting. Cost accounting is serves the purpose of reduction of cost, or cost optimization as we call it. So That is the point of cost accounting. Then we have one more field in accounting. These are subfields of accounting, which is management accounting. What does management accounting do? Management accounting is just, this is a very new field. It's still evolving, and this is something CAs are being exposed to very recently. So management accounting is basically the manage whatever the decisions the management takes. So we analyze those decisions and we say if the decisions have been resulted in is resulted in good thing or a bad thing. Was it good for us or was it bad for us? So how has a particular decision? You can take a decision for and against. You can have different understanding. So we basically look at each decision the management takes, and also there is something called as MIS reporting. So whatever the management is interested in, we report it to them. So there is one reporting system called as MIS. MIS, anyone? Full form of MIS? Don't Google, tell me directly. Anyone knows the full form of MIS? I think you've come across this term in business studies in your 12th standard. Very good, very good. Yes, yeah, correct. So many people. MIS stands for Management Information System. What is MIS? Any idea? MIS means it's a system wherein we just as a management, as a top level management, the board of directors and all are not interested in small things that happen with the business, with their business. For example, they don't want to know how much coffee you had today. What is your refreshment expense? They don't want to know. What they are focusing on is bigger things. They want to know how much goods you sold. What is the sales you did? What were your expenses for the day? So they want to know all of these things, and that is available through this reporting system called the MIS, Management Information System. So from the MIS, Management Information System, the management uses this information to take better decisions. So they get to know, okay, today sales was high. Every day they want to know total sales. They don't want to know anything else. They don't want full financial data. They don't want your financial performance. They don't want P&L account. They don't want the balance sheet. They just want sales data. And in sales data, they want to know how much you sold in rural area, how much you sold in urban area. Something like Reliance Industries, Ambani sitting in his office, he's the managing director. He wants to know what is happening in Reliance throughout the country. So give him information with regards to urban area, how much did you sell? What kind of products did you sell today? In rural areas, what kind of products you sold today? What was the age group of the people who bought it? 18 to 25, what did they buy today? 25 to 30, what did they buy today? So something like this, they will be interested in. All this information might be generated through MIS reports. Okay, what product has the highest demand? At which season does this product run? Like during which season we have highest sales? For example, in hospitality industry, April and May, it is peak season for them. People go on vacations in April and May. So which place are people going to? So a hospitality industry will need the management of something like a big hotel and all will need to know about these data, this information. And this information is generated through an accounting system. Specific data which the management is interested in is generated through a system called MIS reporting, which is part of management accounting. So this is the next one. And then you have human resource accounting. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yes. Okay. So what are the systems we studied today? Different subfields of accounting. What and all did we study? Subfields of accounting. We started with financial accounting. What is the next one? What is the second one you studied? What did I talk about next? Cost accounting. Third one, management accounting, right? We discussed what is management accounting as well. I hope everyone is clear with these three things. MIS is Management Information System. It is where the management gets its information, whatever relevant information the management wants, they get that information through that system. That's all. Okay. Now, The next system or the next subfield of accounting is something called as human resource accounting. Okay, before I talk about human resource accounting, I'll talk about something else. Do you want to listen to a story or something? I'm sure. Yes, sir. Is that even a question, right? You talk anything other than syllabus, we will love it. Okay. Yes. So, so basically, I'll ask you a question. Why did you decide to do CA? Why CA? Why did you decide that you wanted to become a chartered accountant? Okay, interesting reasons. I have a younger brother who is uh, an engineer. So basically 3 years younger than me. So when we were like growing up, we used to play a lot together and all. We know each other very well since because we were in the same house and we used to play together. Just two siblings, not too many neighbors and all. So we used to play together and all. And from younger days, this guy was interested in electronic goods, electrical goods. In fact, we had got, I'll tell you an interesting story. So we had got a phone, we used to have that Nokia phones, right? In 2002 or 3, somewhere there, we got one black and white phone, uh, that big, heavy Nokia phone. I remember silver color, you used to get that nice phone, iconic phone, right? So we used to charge it and all. He was interested to know how does the phone charge. He was like probably 5 7 years, 6 years or 7 years. Yeah, 6 years or 7 years old. He wanted to know how does it charge. So we put a wire and it charges. So I mean, the charging cable, we put that and it charges. So what he did was he took you get these normal wires, right? The red wire, blue wire, colored wires, yellow wire, and all that. He cut open the wire and he put it into the plug one end, and another end he inserted it into the phone. He wanted to see if the phone charges even like that without the charger, right? He just wanted to check if that works. He was just 6 year old. He had no idea that the frequency of electricity will be more and all that. He switched it on. The phone started vibrating. The phone kind of got burnt out. Okay. The power was too much and the phone got burnt out. The charging pins were not like this. It wasn't like how we have now. You used to have that round hole kind of a thing where you had to insert the charger. So he inserted the wire instead of the charger inside that phone, and he switched the plug on and the phone got burnt out. So he was always intrigued by these electricity, electrical, electronic goods and all that. While growing up also, you would have some old DVD player open in his room. If you opened his cupboard, the last thing in the cupboard, last cabinet in the cupboard will be filled with open things. He would not know how to close it, so he would just open it and keep it over there. He would take those chips out, he would see how it works and all that. So he was always interested in electronic items. And when he went into 10th standard, he said, after 10th standard I'm going to do science. He did science. Then he went into electrical engineering, electronics and electrical, exactly what he was interested in. And after that, a couple of years he was working, and he was working in with LED bulbs. He was working in startups. He worked for some company, again in electrical industry, completely to do with electronics, LED bulbs and all that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that was his passion right from the beginning. He had identified it at a very young age, and he went on to do what he liked from childhood. So like this, there are many people, not just him. There are many people. Someone who is interested in big, tall buildings. Oh, it's so exciting, such a big building, or architecture. These guys get into something like civil engineering, or they get into something like interiors architecture. They study bachelor in architecture or something relating to interiors and all that they study. Or if you're interested in motors, big cars, big bikes, how does the motor work, engines work. If you're interested in the engine capacity, what does it mean, how does it change. So a person might end up doing mechanical engineering or something like that. Or if a person is very good with debating, right, he ends up with law. He takes up law, becomes a lawyer. So my question is, when you were younger, I'm sure you've taken CA, so I'm sure you were very interested in reading balance sheets and P&L account of companies, right? When you were in second standard, third standard, and all, you were very interested to see which company made profits, how much profits in a year, right? You were very interested to see, oh, okay, how much tax do these guys pay? What is the taxation? Right, income tax is too. Oh, what is the changes in income tax this year? What are the changes in GST? What is GST? I'm sure you were interested in all this. That was your drive, right? When you were younger, when you were 7 years old, 8 years old, you were interested in knowing about taxes, costing, and all that. Is that right? We did not even know what taxes were, right? Even now, we don't know exactly what GST is. And costing too, we just heard about it from me. Just now, we heard about it for the first time. You can't say this is your passion right now, okay? Doing CA, you don't know what a CA does. Do you know what a CA does? Do you know what it will be like once you become a CA? You don't know what you're going to do for everyday bread and butter. What is auditing? You know what is auditing? You know what are the steps in auditing? What is an audit report? Do you know how to draft it? Do you know what exactly goes in making an audit report? No. We have no idea what we're going to do after we qualify. So we can't call this as our passion. Let's admit it. We are here because of the respect that the course has. We are here because of the money that the course has. Let's be practical, right? This is how it is. This is why I came here. Because this course was one of the elite courses in CA. They said every time people would talk about CA, they're like, oh, that is like the top course in commerce. There is nothing beyond CA. I wanted to HU because I wanted to do commerce. So I wanted to do this course because it was elite. It was big. I wanted to be in the elite class. I wanted to make money. I wanted to gain respect. Yes or no? Am I saying something lie? I mean, am I lying here or am I exaggerating something? Absolutely not. That's not what I think I'm doing. This is how our mindset works when we came to CA. This is what it is. It's not because what CAs do, it's because what CAs earn. What CAs earn is respect and money. And that is why we are here. Of course, once you take up the course, you come across subjects and you can say later on that this is my passion. Once you look at the subjects, once you learn, once you go in practically and once you do it, then of course you will know what things are there and all that. For example, I like taxes a lot. I like accounting a lot. So taxes probably are my passion, right? Taxes or accounting for that matter is something that I love. I realized this only once I started articleship. Probably few things I realized after I qualified and I seen real as a practicing CA. I like that field and I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do for my bread and butter. This is my specialization. But this I realized later on, almost when I finished the course. So we are not here because of something that is drivers over here. It is something because of artificial factors which are not natural. These are things that you want to get influenced. You get influenced because of all this. So what I'm trying to say is there's no natural push here. There's no natural motivation here. We are here for materialistic or something else also. Prestige, respect, and all that is nice. So once we are here, it's not a problem. I'm not demeaning it or I'm not making fun of it because I also did it and I'm very happy I did it. We are ambitious people. We always want to be on the top. We always want to do things that can give us a lot of respect and things in the society. So that is why we want to do this. It's nice. That attitude is very nice. I have no complaints about it. But there's a problem that we can face because of that attitude, because there is no natural push, because there is no natural motivation. We will have to create that artificial motivation for some time. And then once you see the field and all, then it will come naturally to you. But at this point of time, you will have to push yourself. At times you will feel like, oh, okay, will I be able to do this? Will I be able to do this? There's so much to study. There's so much to learn. Will I be able to do this? You keep questioning yourself. But first thing you have to do is believe that you can do it. You have to push yourself. Have that belief that you can achieve this. And I'm sure you can achieve this. Only if you believe you can do the course. You have to believe in yourself. Even if you're pretty average, as per marks, the marks are saying that you're average. That should not get into your head. The marks don't matter. You have to focus. You have to be determined, just like how you're hungry. Okay, you're hungry people. That's why you're here. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to keep pushing yourself every day. You have to, like 8:30 the class starts. I have to be there at 8:30. I have to listen to the lecture day in, day out, and I have to be serious about this course. I should not take anything for granted. And remember, we will try and handhold you as much as we can, for sure. But at the end of the day, it's about yourself. All right. So you have to focus on your goals, and you have to turn your dreams into actions, turn your dreams into reality as soon as possible. For that, you have to focus and also be ambitious. Keep pushing yourself each day. Tell yourself, I have to study, I have to learn, I have to get this done, I have to study this, I have to listen to him, I have to show that interest. It's all for you. So create that motivation and keep going each day. Keep moving forward. Never stand still. Never be where you were yesterday. Always there must be some value addition. Something or the other should keep happening. And we will keep that in the class as well. We will ensure that we learn something every day, something new every day. And whatever we've learned, we will fine tune that as well. What I'll do is I'll take doubts now. That's why I thought, human resource accounting, and there's one more field, will take a little time. So we will do it tomorrow. But before that, today I'll take doubts. The ones who don't have doubts can leave. We will see tomorrow. We'll meet each other tomorrow at 8:30 again. Okay. If you want to listen to the doubts, even if you don't have any doubts, you might be interested in listening to these doubts, questions, some interesting questions we get. So you can stay back and listen to it as well. Okay, so Anne asks, sir, I have a doubt. What is the difference between stakeholders and shareholders? Stakeholders is a bigger term. Stakeholders means basically everyone who is interested in the business. Shareholders are people who have a share in the business, that is ownership in the business. So stakeholders is a very broad term. Stakeholders will include government, customers, management, even the shareholders are the stakeholders in the company, etc. There will be many other people as well who will be interested in the company. Lenders, banks, and all that, they are all stakeholders. And then shareholders are basically the owners of the company. That is all the differences. So what's the difference between ledgers and subsidiary and trial balance? We will do it practically. That time we will understand that, Dhriti. These are different steps. These are completely different, nothing to do with each other. These are part of the accounting process. So at the first step, you have journal, then or subsidiary books you will have over there, then ledgers. Second step it is, third one is trial balance. Completely different formats will be different from each other. We will do it practically, and that time you will understand it better. What is the meaning of a venture? Venture is basically a risk adventure into venture, that is English term. But in here we call it as business. Businesses are generally called as ventures. What is done in disclosures? Cash flow statements, Mitali, is a disclosure. You have different kinds of disclosures. There are something called as related party transactions. This is disclosures of all the related party transactions that a business does. So that is disclosed through disclosures over there. So different types of disclosures. Sir, are the theory questions important? Yes, for 4 marks, one compulsory question will be asked every year. So please repeat about cost accounting and management accounting. I'll just briefly summarize it. If you want to see the whole explanation, the video will be available on YouTube. So you can just go on to the YouTube and relook at the lecture, whatever parts you have missed if you could not listen properly and all. So, but I'll briefly tell you what is cost accounting and management accounting. You can go on to that Trisha's classes CA Foundation. There's a channel. You can look at the video, recorded video from yesterday and today. Both of it is available on that channel. Okay, so please repeat about cost accounting and management accounting. Cost accounting basically helps in cost reduction. In the case of a manufacturing sector, there will be various types of costs. So it will help you reduce the cost in production, involved in production. That is what cost accounting does. We just record cost in detail in cost accounting. Management accounting is basically to serve the decision making needs for the management. The management will need some relevant information as to their customers' data. That is about the age of the customer, buying different kind of products and all that. They will need some information. So that is served through management accounting. Sir, can I know how many subjects are there for CA? 4 subjects at the first level, 8 at the second. Papers I'm talking about. The subjects are, you will have taxation in depth, you will have accounting in depth, you will have costing. 2 papers on costing we will have throughout the course. You will have financial management, which is something about, linked about how to manage money, finance in a company. And you will also have about stocks and all that in financial management itself, how to value a share, how to read the financial statements of a company, and all that we will see. Can we call users, financial statement users, as stakeholders? Of course, Mahesh, yes. Can large shareholders influence, take part in decision making process of the certain? Yes, they can, Abhay. So that is why you have something called as annual general meetings. There are some decisions which can be taken only in annual general meetings. In annual general meetings, all the shareholders will be present. So the shareholders will pass the decision. There are 2 types of resolutions, decisions, some important decisions and some very important decisions. So if there is an important decision, then you have to pass something called as an ordinary resolution, where more than 50% of the shareholders have to agree for it. If it is a special resolution, very important discussion item, we call it a special resolution, and that more than 75% of the shareholders have to vote. You will study all this in your company law syllabus. Do we have textbooks for this? Yes, all the materials will be shared with you. There will be detailed notes given to you. So please give the theory notes. I hope you're taking down whatever we are discussing in the class. For now, that is sufficient. I hope you're writing down whatever we are discussing in the class structure. And Shamita. Sir, how is your articleship experience? Fantastic. It was really nice. So can we please explain about interpreting in the accounting process? Interpreting is basically knowing, Nitish, the financial position and the financial performance of the business, ascertaining the financial performance and position of the business. That is known as interpretation. Sir, what is carriage inwards and carriage outwards? Sanvi, wait for a couple of classes. We will have a discussion on that. Number of subjects in CA Foundation course, 4 papers. The paper 2, paper 3, and paper 4 are split into 2 subjects each, I think. So it will be around 7 subjects in all, but 4 papers, 400 marks, 100 marks each. No, the paper 3 is split into 3 subjects, right? So 8 subjects. You have maths, statistics, and logical reasoning in paper 3. Paper 2 is about law. I think all this was done in orientation, no? Law, and you have BCR over there, English. And then paper 4 is economics and BCK. So total 1 paper. In accounts only 1 subject, we have accounts only. Second paper 2 subjects, and third paper 3 subjects, and fourth paper 2 subjects. So if you read ICAI books, is it sufficient? It is sufficient. It is more than enough if you read the ICAI books. But to understand the ICAI books, first you will need some conceptual knowledge. The ICAI expects you have studied concepts in 11th and 12th standard, but most of us haven't done that. So that is why the coaching material is very useful when you look at the ICAI books. Actually, ICAI books are more than sufficient, but the ICAI has an assumption, makes an assumption when they make their material. They don't teach basics. They don't write about basics in their books. So that is why the coaching is important. That is why coaching plays a very important role, because here we teach you from basics what you should have studied in 11th and 12th standard. Our textbooks also will be made in the same way. The questions that we record in our textbook is also the same way. So that is why first the coaching material is important. Do the coaching material with the class, and then you can do the ICAI material. During the exam, the ICAI material is sufficient. No problem. What is your motivation to do CA? I told you, respect and the hype about the course. We will study it in finals, Virupaksha. Disclosures means reporting something additional, disclosing. Bhumika, right now I'm just associated with the Udupi and the Bangalore branches. You have to score 100 marks. I mean, 100 marks paper it will be. You will have to score a minimum of 50 marks. I think you can just have a look at the orientation session again, Amay. You will get an idea. Ifra, we will discuss all of that, types of shares, different types of shares, what are the differences between these paper, shares and all that in detail when we discuss company accounts. Because right now, if I tell you also, you will not understand half of it. It's always better if you see more things. As soon as the lockdown opens up, they must be sending it to you through courier, or you can go and collect it from the Udupi or the Mangalore branch. What is the difference between CA Foundation and CPT exam? This is descriptive. Two papers are descriptive. There, everything was MCQ. Hey, before you leave, say thank you or say bye bye and go. Okay, just don't go like this. I want to see your names. Yeah. Good day, Anne. What exactly makes CA seem so hard? It is because here you have to study concepts all through our life, all through our educational, life, academic careers. We have never studied conceptually. We've always by hearted things. So, but here it's not like that. Here we have to study concepts. We have to always ask the question why and how does it work. That's why it makes it difficult. It will come out, Mitali. It will be given to you very soon. Don't worry. Yes, position statement and balance sheet is the same. Bye guys. Bye. Bye. No more questions. So can we end the session? So are you all understanding whatever is happening in the class? Bye guys. Yes. Yes. See you in the tomorrow's class then. I don't think we're getting any more questions. So see you in tomorrow's class. Bye. Have a good day, guys.